But hey, I guess we'll see what the dungeon has for us. If we just find a fantastically enchanted buckler, we could definitely end up going that direction instead. And okie dokie. So I should try to remember on some level that D7 is still quite unexplored, and beyond that, it has some less than ideal friends to fight. A vampiric trident on Jeremiah here. Interesting. What else is it that you do, my friend? Blink range, some smiting, that's all fine. Well, do I feel like I can fight you? Vampiric trident can be a little bit rough, but we're on a pretty solid character, so we should actually be generally fine. Okay, I was hoping Jeremiah would follow us, but apparently too many butterflies around to really effectively do that pathfinding. That's fine. And fortunately, again, due to the fire resistance that Ignis has granted us, don't have to worry at all about steam dragons. We have pretty much perfect resistance against steam with even that first bit of fire protection. So that is fantastic. And hello, my friends. Are you actually trapped? I didn't think so. Take them down. Some Ferrari darts. That's pretty huge for us moving forward as well. Fantastic. And let us hopefully finish off the last bit of this floor as well as a few more without too much drama going on. Should be fairly straightforward if I had to guess. Especially now that we have some pretty solid starting gear, a few different enchanted pieces that will hopefully tide us over until we get a bit further on. Now I'm still a little surprised at how low our armor class is. I guess the training that we have in armor now help out with that a little bit, but you know, granted, or given the fact that I'm wearing 2 protection rings, I thought I'd basically be an impenetrable fortress. But it is what it is. And then what do we wish to do from here? Maybe actually a bit more fighting. Let's get some more max HP. Evocations is something that we will definitely be swapping into, but currently we don't have that many wand stacks and no rechargeable evocation tools. Okay, paralysis now as well. Maybe I do actually want to pivot that direction a little earlier than I otherwise would. Oh, you have a dagger of distortion. Son of a gun. Immediately sends us down. Well, we had a good run, folks. Oh me oh my, an apocalypse crab is not great either. Rising flame does nothing for us. I guess I'll put on some fire armor as if that will do much at all to help us through here. But then we can at least blind these folks. And who knows, maybe Minotaur fighter, maybe we'll be strong enough to be just fine. Please keep walking, son of a gun. Okay, if I can just get the damage output on this son of a gun, fantastic. It's not necessarily all over. I'd like to not fight as much as possible. At the very least, fight in a slightly more advantageous position. There we go. Again, going surprisingly well. Deeper into the abyss. That's not the direction I was heading, actually. DCSS. What are the chances of getting abyssed immediately? That's how I felt too. I was hoping that we'd have at least like 1 turn, even 2 turns to take care of our problems there, because we have enough damage output that likely would have been able to kill the wizard fairly quickly. These sons of guns are definitely a bit of a problem for us though. Hopefully we can just barely squeeze out of it. I will drink some heal wounds. And is that a fresh Starcursed mask that just walked in? Maybe, maybe not. We're wearing regen armor as well, so that's another point in our favor when it comes to surviving the Abyss, or at least, you know, doing our darndest to do just that. Holy moly. I hate that the game is giving me hope here. We've survived this long and fought enough enemies that I'm starting to believe. Is this gate out? Okay. So now I just have to survive long enough to do that. Okay, don't abyss me again. Holy moly. Well, that kind of works. My plan to find a portal out, it was indeed, and hey, it worked out. I guess we always could have, if we got very desperate, switched over to Luganu and gone out that way, but I'm glad we didn't have to change our game plan too much here because things were going pretty solid, and I was hoping that today would be, you know, full Ignis mode, and hey, looks to be like we're back to heading that direction. Of course, now that we're out of the Abyss, I have to make sure that I don't take my newfound confidence and immediately throw the run away some more. See how it goes though. And let's take you kiddos upstairs. And oh me oh my, the trials of the early dungeon don't seem quite as dastardly after a brief trip into the Abyss, eh folks? Puts things into perspective in a certain light. Ring of Willpower, that's pretty fantastic. We also did get another Potion of Heal Wounds to replenish some that we spent in that little endeavor. So that is wonderful. And then let's just poison up our roly-poly friend. Fantastic. And keep on keeping on here. Holy moly. Dastardly is a good word. I'm a fan of it for sure. Though I guess that's not saying much. I'm a fan of most words, really. But okie dokie, we hear a distant snort. A D12 gauntlet, hey? Oh me oh my, we also haven't even begun to explore all of our resources here, so let's get this out of the way in the here and now. We can at least get a bit of an idea as to where we're sitting. And one more ID scroll. Fair enough. I was kind of hoping that we'd find a brand weapon or something in that department. That works just fine. And then for you, my friend, if we can soften you up with a few Curari darts, reapply the slow, stack poison until they get up to us, and that definitely gets the job done. Fantastic. And then I think we are going to train a bit of evocations here. We have a few more wands. And is there anything else? I mean, throwing is actually probably a half-decent idea. We don't have that many throwing implements, but 4 boomerangs can go a surprising distance if given the opportunity. So let's add that to the list. We're gaining experience pretty quickly anywho, so shouldn't be too much of an issue here. And we can hopefully hit those marks fairly quickly. Actually, did I see very distant was the message. So let us immediately take a hike to the far north here, since it looks to be like we came in on the south side. Hello, my vampiric friends. Yes, come one, come all. Beautiful. Maybe up this direction? No, still very distant, you say, hey? Oh me oh my, where the heck do we go from here? Battle's done, we kind of won, so we sound our victory cheer. Where do we go from here? Ooh, okay, there we go. Drum beating very, or not very, but just nearby. So hopefully we can get onto the right track here. Slightly concerned about a Cyclops, but fortunately able to take care of that son of a gun. And now I see the very nearby. Oh. And speaking of the devil, there it is. I can paralyze you If we just got a little bit lucky, which we did, fortunately enough, so that's wonderful. And might as well dip our head in, take a peek, and see how things are looking. We'll definitely clear out our inventory of some of the extraneous items. I mean, that should be enough. I want to make sure I don't drop anything that would have come in handy going in here. Because amnesia scrolls, vulnerability, we won't use. Even the enchantment scrolls I can probably leave behind, but that should be fair enough for now. And something that I've never really thought of, but as I was scanning my inventory, I noticed we have the See Invisible ring. It's probably a good idea to swap into that before doing our scouting trip, because you can definitely be surprised by some invisible enemies showing up in the various chambers here. Okay, a bunch of Bogarts. I mean, the top has an enchanted glove. And that's about all that is of interest here, I believe. Where was the plate? Ooh, the plate armor was in the electrical chamber, which I was not feeling too hot about. The coal is fine. The Bogarts could be a pain if they start summoning in things that we're not equipped to deal with. Worldender kind of being in the same boat there, especially since this is such a wide open entrance point. But otherwise we have fire, ice, and then mostly more ice. So that's all pretty doable. Of course, we'd pretty much just be getting the gloves, but I think that might actually be okay for us here. Okie dokie. I guess no time like the present to just try it out. Do I want that enchanted plate armor? Is it worth the risk? We don't have any resistance potions ID'd yet. We've also used up a decent chunk of our PD already. Probably should just play it safe. So let's do so. Little does the game know that the things present in these chambers pale in comparison to the horrors of the abyss that we've already faced. I even forgot to switch into my cold resistance before diving headfirst into here, and still fortunately turned out alright. Let's fix that before I jump into another chamber, shall we? Does, of course, make us miss out on some armor class. That's not the end of the world. Let's just put ourselves down into a nice little corridor that will hopefully keep us largely safe. Fantastic. And hat of stealth. I mean, it's one of the few hats that we can wear, so it's at least worth putting on for the moment. And then it's Minotaur time. Some sweet Minotaur and Minotaur action here. I don't know, is there anything I can bring into this combat that could help us out? I mean, we could very likely engage our fiery armor nice and early on to just give us that edge. We might just be fine to fight straight up, but I'd rather not put all my eggs in that basket. I mean, you also don't have poison resistance. So, Curari might actually just be sufficient, now that I think about it. We'll just keep that slow stacked up on you, my friend. Beautiful. We'll take the plate armor, even though I'm not sure it'll really be worth switching out of. I do really like the egos on our current set a bit too much. Ooh, but we do have another artifact ringmail that can potentially change our mind. Some wands. Okay, nothing terrible going on here. In fact, the plate armor, I think, will just hit the deck. +0 ringmail with some dex. Unfortunately, not going to do it. First of all, Wukad Mu. I mean, we're not going to be using this on this character. Let's get that out of the way right at the top here. But some part of me has a big issue with leaving behind any unranned arts. Goes from my habit of generally when doing like a 15 rune character, or especially, or more pertinently, when I'm playing on a like mega ziggurat character, In that context, I am always looking to collect each and every single one of the unrandom items in the game. But okie dokie, what else do we got? A necklace. Amulet of Reflection, I mean a bit of shielding, don't mind if I do. And then we got a Ring of Strength and a Protection from Fire, so both of those are fantastic in their own right, but don't necessarily warrant any immediate switching. So let's just keep on keeping on. That looks like a kite shield, so I should pick that up. I'll keep around my flaming hand axe just in case we're desperate against hydras later on. And then let us turn shields back on for the time being. And once that's trained up even just a little bit further, we'll likely switch over to the kite shield. Because we're not casting spells or using a ranged weapon, our shield doesn't matter too much. Oh, I'm slowed right now. I was wondering why our attack delay was 1.0, but there we go, 0.7. That's a bit more like it. I swap into my buckler. We do go up a 0.1, but that's actually not too bad. It does give us a few more shield points. So in the essence of being a bit more defensible here, let's make the change here. And if I can just creep up on you, my friend, not give you room to summon in anything, that is fantastic. Or at least not summon in anything in a way that blocks us from finishing the job. And then okie dokie, I think with that, we are ready to head into Lair. I guess on this character, we could go for Orc first. With solid defenses, there are pretty good odds that we find ourselves a Broadaxe there, and if we're lucky, we could even find ourselves a pretty nice Broadaxe. And so that's why there's always a temptation on ranged characters or axe wielders to head into Orc a little bit earlier than you otherwise might. Let's take a peek, shall we? We head back down that direction. I mean, a single warg dealing that much damage is maybe not the best indication as to our ability to manage here. But we'll take you back, my friend. Okay, the paralysis fortunately doesn't affect us for too long. What can I do against our wizard friend? I actually don't really want to root them because I'd like them to get next to me if at all possible. Or not, that's fine too, whatever floats your boat, my friend. There we go. Take care of you, kiddos, you as well. I maybe should have waited for the warlord to get next to us. I don't know, is it worth using up some of our quickly depleting piety on fiery armor? Fiery armor is going to start to fall off pretty soon here. Kind of end of Lair is where all of these except for Rising Flame start to look a little bit useless. Let's do it. And then we'll pop down. We'll have better defenses as well as having some of that return fire on our friends. And that does the trick indeed. Fantastic. Plate armor of positive energy. Again, if we hadn't been lucky with this ringmail early on, that would be a very easy swap to us. I think for the time being, I'll stick to our regen and poison resistance, especially since we will likely be heading to Lair after this, and the poison resistance is worth its weight in gold there. So I don't really see the need to swap it out. And instead of walking to them, let's let them come our way now that I think about it, because we might need to beat a hasty retreat if things don't all go as planned. So far, just some war axes, nothing too interesting to us here. Kite Shield of Reflection. I mean, you're going to be kind of tough to deal with, Donald. So if I can get you back to the stairwell, which it's looking like now I won't be able to, unfortunately, because you've brought out the haste. 7% chance to paralyze you is not great. So instead, I think we'll just be using roots. I'm going to use fiery armor again. Holy moly, and you're going to deal way more damage than I would like. Oh, and you reflected my Curari Dart against me. Fair enough. Well played. Should have seen that one coming. I was hoping our poison resistance would mean it wasn't too big of an issue, but I'm just too dang good at throwing. Even if it reflects off an enemy, it's always going to hit the weak spots. I'm just gifted, I guess. Okay, so what can I do against Donald here? I was not wanting to use the blind wand because I was pretty sure that something like this would happen. Do I deter a dart? If it reflects, I berserk myself. Let's see how that goes. I don't think that will be our answer here. So, Scroll of Blinking to start off. Then, I actually think we're going to go with the Teleportation. And if I can get you to hold your ground for but a moment... Holy moly. Oh, how quickly the turns table here. Yikes. Well, I'm probably just dead. Unless, after a short delay for Ignis to gather enough power to blast this through. A short delay is probably not going to cut it, unfortunately. So, it's time to use up all of our blinking scrolls. Once here. Into Donald range, unfortunately, but such is life. Let's get a heal wounds as Donald gets next to us. Then blast here, and hopefully Rise in Flame activates fast enough. Holy moly. Well, that didn't go as smoothly as I might have hoped, to put it lightly. But hey, I guess it's time to go to Lair. That's all that means. And hopefully by the time that we return to the premises, we'll be feeling a little bit better about our survival. Would a Foxfire Swarm have worked? Unfortunately, I think it would have been a bit too low damage. Specifically, Donald has too high of an AC for it to be too effective. Again, generally at this stage of the game, Foxfire Swarm could work out if you get some really high rolls, but because each of them is going to be checking armor class, chances are anyone with even a rudimentary armor rating is going to kind of scoff at your attempts to work some magic there. Sorry, my brain went blank for a second there, but let's, I guess, get back to IDing stuff. Holy moly. Still just in shock that we somehow got out of that situation in one piece. Very, very lucky. I know, I guess it's that interesting dichotomy where it's bad luck that got us into just that much trouble. I mean, a little bit of blame obvious on myself for deciding that we should try to fight Donald. But the Zephyrmancers definitely weren't part of the plan there, weren't part of the equation as far as I was concerned. So that was a fun little surprise for the game to throw at us. Or at least as a sort of ad hoc scroll of butterflies. Oh, that's interesting. Does get you some bodies, unfortunately, because on contact they disappear intentionally as they hit the enemy. It's a bit rough, but I like the thinking for sure. That approach works quite well when you have enemies with like ranged weaponry, but a bit harder with the piercing electric bolts of the Zephyrmancer coupled with all the melee attacks that were otherwise seen there. But definitely like the thought. And okie dokie. My mic's been crackly, not sure if it's just you. Yikes. Hopefully it's not too much of an issue. One moment. I don't know if that's any better. If it is not better, then unfortunately that might just have to be how it is for today. I mean, I don't plan on this stream going much later, so hopefully it won't be too much of a problem. You think it's better? Okay, then maybe it was the cord just getting a little bit loose on the mic. So thanks for letting me know, and as always, definitely clue me in if there are any further issues, because I don't recheck this setup often enough to have a good idea of when that may be the case. Additionally, sometimes my system just randomly decides it's time to change things up, you know? Keeps me on my toes, keeps things fun and interesting, I guess. So is what it is. But okay, we get a mark coming through. Let's be a little safer, head back through our little crevasse there. In fact, we can do so again down this direction. Fantastic.